If I asked you to name a feature of Metallica which could be both exciting and annoying, even for you, sometimes you feel either way. Well, to some it's in Metallica in their entirety. This band is like you either love or hate. If you say it's Metallica's music videos, I guess you'd be off because they are almost all awful. I'm talking about more musical features of Metallica. You might say Lars's drumming. Yeah, to some it's dumb, to some it's borderline genius. Especially in his old days, he was really influential. Kirk's solos, well, also makes sense. You can really enjoy his solos from Master and really almost puke on the solos from latest two albums. But what about something that is both the blessing and the curse of Metallica? Even Metallica themselves did acknowledge that. That's doing over the top, making the song too lengthy, too much of sections, too much like they got a riff, they have plenty of variation of that, and they have to put every single variation in a song. That's something they really sometimes cannot really hold their horses in. But a lot of times that's the charm of it. A lot of times you just really need to go with on and on, especially on Justice for All. And Death Magnetic also has something of that. In a Master of Puppets, man, several songs over 8 minutes, but they just fly like in 3 or 4 minutes. That's the journey. That's the top songwriting by Metallica then. But sometimes it's really not that good, especially on the, say, Saint Anger. There are songs over 8 minutes, like All Within My Hands. Man, it's not making sense. So we either love or hate it, or it depends on the song or the album. But there's a particular case of that doing songs over the top of Metallica. It oftentimes takes so long for them to start the actual song. They do love making long introductions to their song. Then they want you to be hyped up, and then finally James opens his mouth and sings something. And oftentimes it takes over a minute. Actually, I've calculated, I've looked it up. And so Metallica usually does not get to singing until 1 minute or further. And there are 4 songs that go to 2+ minutes. I actually hinted at that in my latest breakdown of Hum the Beltos on the main channel. The vocals don't start until
almost halfway through the track, at the mark of 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Which makes Hum the Beltos the 4th Metallica track that gets to James opening his mouth the longest. And write in comments your guesses for the top 3. Instrumentals do not count.
At the number 3, it's Damage Incorporated. 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Beats Hum the Beltos by 1 second. But it's actually kinda not really fair, because the intro of Damage Incorporated, you have this fade in, easily edited longer by several seconds or shorter by several seconds. So it's not an... Hum the Beltos is more dense, more straight to the point intro, no fluff, no cutting corners. But in terms of the documented official song length, Damage Incorporated is a bit longer to get to singing in Beltos. Then on number 2, and the 2 minutes and 8 seconds, sits Some Kind of Monster. And that's an example of Metallica intro which is actually overstretched. It just goes through several cycles of that slow and notes in between riff. And so yeah, it actually was shortened for the single version. But the album one is 2 minutes 8 seconds. James does not open his mouth until that. And at number 1, the longest Metallica intro, the longest Metallica does not sing in the song is, guess it, 2 minutes 11 seconds. And fucking Justice for Fucking All. And here you cannot really say it's unjustified. Every note, every second of the intro is worth it. That's a magnificent piece of music which could be on its own, a little instrumental, so you don't really mind that James is not singing for so long there. In fact, almost all Justice for All is like that, over a minute till singing. And Master of Puppets is entirely over 1 minute. The shorter intros are Master of Puppets and The Thing Should Not Be. 1 minute and 1 second, exactly. And Metallica gets to singing the fastest, guess on which album? Reload. Only 2 songs out of 13 or 14, I forgot. Including 2 that actually start with James singing. Fuel and Memory Remains. But that's the Metallica thing. They like you to warm up. And warm them up, actually. And they may be the best example of such a band. I cannot really recall another group that likes such long intros almost every time. There are longer intros, of course, if you consider, say, Shining a Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd a one song. Another example of a long intro could be Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Also, like Damage Incorporated, all this, fade-ins and everything. That's not a fair contestant, but still. Not really much examples in my mind, so write in comments. Who does longer intros than Metallica in general and in particular? And if you haven't watched my breakdown of Beltos, link in description.